Welcome. It's Indisputable. I'm your host, Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day. Very high honor. Consciously on YouTube and Rebel HQ contributor. Should be a fascinating breakdown. First story of the day. Remember the attack on a black woman. Looked as if the man was trying to kill her. Well, he got found guilty and received 4 days in jail because the judge suspended the sentence. We brought you this story a few months ago, then we highlighted the sentencing, and now we're highlighting the suspension of the sentence. Let me remind you of the video. Here it is.
Bro, that car was sitting here facing the wrong way, and her homegirl walked in.
Bro, you're in big trouble, bro.
Hey, bro, chill, bro. That's a female.
The coward was not in big trouble, even though he should have been. Now, let me remind you, initially, the black woman who was beaten received a felony charge until the video came out. Once the video went viral, everything changed. I'm gonna give you some significant background. Keep in mind, he only received 4 days because of trickery after the conviction of his crimes. Let's put his picture up full mass here. I want you to see the violence, the extreme violence, and obviously his mugshot. Who are we talking about? Austin Sheffield. The young lady, her name is Dejanique Lee.
Ah, man.
In 2019, Austin Sheffield, 33 years of age, was indicted of beating up this young lady. She's 27 years old in the parking lot in Elam. That's an area in Dallas, Texas, on Thursday, March 21st, 2019. The case has been explosive from the start, after reports that police originally decided to charge Miss Lee with felony criminal mischief for damaging the man's truck during the altercation. They charged her with the felony. However, that changed once witnesses captured the assault on the cell phone and posted the altercation on the internet. Later, the video picked up national traction, shifting the conversation around the incident. Lee originally was charged with felony mischief in the incident after allegedly damaging Sheffield's truck. But that charge has since been dropped at the time. Lee's attorney, Lee Merritt, said by charging his client, Miss Lee, law enforcement was basically saying Mr. Sheffield's truck was more valuable than her life. Now that's one dynamic, here's another. When Sheffield was originally arrested, he was released quickly. He was released so damn quick that a special prosecutor had to be appointed. Now damn, think about that. Man gets arrested finally for a felony. All of a sudden, he does get arrested because they are forced to arrest him. And then they release him in such record time that a special prosecutor is then appointed to prosecute the case. Now, after the prosecutor gets involved, there is an actual jury trial. Let's go to the jury trial. They presented their discovery to the jury. A Dallas County jury found Mr. Sheffield, the bartender, guilty, but of 2 lesser counts from the original indictment, not guilty of the most serious account, which was the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. All right, and there was a suggestion that it was not race related. Now, keep in mind, he had a gun in his right hand. He had a gun in his right hand while committing the assault. He literally could have killed her based on the video that we saw. Now, Sheffield's attorneys argued the fight was not a hate crime. Discounted claims that his client made a racial slur toward Lee. However, Lee's lawyers maintained Sheffield made racial slurs and made other racist remarks. The assault with a deadly weapon charge was not something considered serious by this jury. A Dallas County jury found the former bartender guilty of 2 lesser counts from his original indictment. Sheffield and his lawyers arranged for him, now I want you to keep this in mind, to enter a plea agreement after the conviction. All right, come back to me. Did you hear what I just said? They arranged for a plea agreement after the conviction. What kind of magic is this? Have you ever heard of this before? Nobody I spoke to ever heard of this. They knew that it was possible under what they call judicial theory, because it is not a full conviction until it is signed by that judge. So in theory, in theater, in a theatrical dynamic, you can do this. However, it's not typically done. He was convicted by a jury, but the judge, the lawyers and the defendant decided to have a meeting and allowed him to enter into a plea deal post the conviction of the crime. So a Dallas County jury found him guilty. Lawyers get involved. Lawyers arrange for him to enter a plea agreement after the conviction, with the caveat that he would not file an appeal of the conviction later, according to Fox 4. We then determined it was more efficient to reach an agreement with Mr. Sheffield and his counsel, said Russell Wilson, one of the prosecutors on the case. We reached an agreement that was similar to a person not convicted of an aggravated offense in Dallas County, he added. As part of the agreement, Sheffield received what? A suspended sentence of 120 days in jail and 2 years supervision, probation supervision for the assault charge. He also received 5 years probation for obstruction. Sheffield reportedly will serve some jail time immediately for the assault. 4 days. 4. He also had to plead guilty to a separate DWI charge in Collin County, which lands him another 90 days in jail. Are you following here? He got more time for the DWI than for damn near killing the black woman who he assaulted. There's more. He will be required to keep a portable alcohol monitor on his person and blow into it 4 times a day because of the DWI charge. He also has to take drug and alcohol tests. His penalty is worse for the DWI than for damn near killing this black woman. Now, this is the reason we fight. Keep in mind, a jury convicted him. So what happened initially? Initially, he doesn't receive the charges he should have received. She gets those charges. She gets a felony charge. Video comes out, they're forced to arrest him. He gets arrested. They charge him. They reluctantly charge him, let him go immediately. A special prosecutor is appointed because they see what's happening with that local community. He goes to trial. They present the case. He gets found guilty of lesser counts. He already has significant grace in this judicial process. And then after he gets convicted, a judge steps in, a prosecutor steps in, a defense attorney steps in, he steps in, and they make a different deal. They make a different deal after the conviction of damn near killing a black woman. This is why we fight. Where's the legislation to stop prosecutors from being able to make these kinds of deals? Where's the policy dynamic to remedy this obvious miscarriage of justice as it relates to the black woman who was a victim? None. Are Democrats saying it? No. Are Republicans saying it? No, nobody. Nobody. Someone in that local community needs to be a champion for those who have been victims of crimes like this. And I'm not talking just about the one that was visited upon Miss Lee. I'm talking about the crime that happened inside of that courtroom. All right, Conscious, what are your thoughts here, brother?
Man, they play with our faces a lot. They play in our faces a lot. The thing that comes to mind really is the distinction between political propaganda and political reality. As a content creator and an educator, them folks are trying to shove propaganda down our throats, talking about the quote unquote purge laws and about how particular individuals, they use code words about black folks being able to get out of jail, free cards, and being able to commit all this crime, you feel me, and not have any retribution legally. I believe what you just presented to me fits the actual political reality of what's going on. And to me, it disproves the political propaganda that says that black people are going to be able to be committing crimes and getting away with this. And the second thing that comes to mind is really equal protection under law. I'm born and raised in Bryan. Born and raised in the state of Texas, right? I have family members, homeboys, homegirls, uncles, cousins that's doing football jersey numbers for non-violent victimless crimes.
Right.
He got 4 days.
4 days, brother.
Listen, my father is on 15 years parole right now in the state of Texas for a non-violent victimless crime of selling marijuana. He spent 5 years in jail while I was in college. 5 years, right? He's still on 15 years of probation. He didn't hurt nobody. He got exponentially more time than somebody that we seen in 4K whoop this woman. He had a gun in his hand. Listen, if you or me did that with a gun in our hand, they would make up legal terms for us.
Yeah, and none of us, neither one of us, would see the light of day again if we did something like that.
We got popped on the spot.
Yeah.
We got shot on the spot for having a gun.
We're going to continue to update this story because at some point the community is going to get outraged, and we're going to be right there because we've reported on this story multiple times, and every time there seems to be another injustice, uncovered. All right, here's an update to a story. Remember the FedEx driver who almost got killed because a father-son duo decided to chase him? Remember that story? Let me remind you of it. Put up the picture of the victim full mass here. Let me go back to the original reporting of this story. This happened in Mississippi. A family of a black FedEx driver nearly killed by a white father-son duo has now requested an upgrade of the charges. We said this on day one at Indisputable. You're looking at Demontario Gibson, the driver who was shot at while delivering for FedEx on January 24th. Gregory Case, let's put his picture up. Gregory Case is the father. Now this is going to sound real familiar to those who follow this kind of stuff. Gregory Case was the father, is the father. Brandon Case is the son. They were charged the month after this happened. Gregory was charged with 1 count of conspiracy assault and Brandon with 1 count of aggravated assault. But they decided to chase a FedEx driver and shoot at him. But they were not charged with attempted murder. According to the mother, Sharon McClendon, we wanted those charges to be upgraded. We want them actually prosecuted as well. On November 18th, the father-son duo, they decided to chase. November 18th, the charges were upgraded to attempted murder, conspiracy, and shooting at a motor vehicle after Lincoln County, Mississippi grand jury handed out indictments. Let me give you a recount of the story. And why did it take so much for this to happen? Now, first, it happened in January. There was no arrest until February. They literally had to beg for the local police to do the arrest. On the night of the incident, around 7 p.m., Gibson had just delivered a parcel at a home in Brookhaven. This was a Mississippi community. As he returned to his delivery truck, marked in Hertz branding, to drive away, he sees a white pickup truck driven by Gregory Case approach his delivery truck. Gibson grew suspicious and tried to drive away and out of the neighborhood. But that was when he saw Brandon Case standing in the middle of the street with a gun pointed toward him, telling him to stop. But Gibson continued driving. Brandon Case fired several shots into the delivery truck. Gibson has said the original charges were a slap on the wrist and has since been a long drawn process to get the charges upgraded to what they should have been. The Jackson, Mississippi resident says he is still wrestling with the thought he came close to dying at the hands of the cases while doing his job. He believes he was targeted because he was black. Before I go to the attorney's comments, let me remind everyone, we've been through this before. Ahmaud Arbery in South Georgia, same exact MO. They sound as if they are copycat killers. And they do this father-son duo. It's a mirror image of what took place in Brunswick, Georgia, against our dear brother who has now been departed because of 2 white racist men. They did a very similar act and they didn't even get charged with attempted murder initially. Gibson's attorney, Carlos Moore, explained Mississippi law. Mississippi law allows penalty enhancements for crimes motivated by race. So if the cases were convicted of attempted murder and the other crimes for which they have been indicted, the family will request the state to seek penalty enhancements at sentencing. All right, so how was Mr. Gibson doing, okay? He claims during the incident, FedEx was not much help. Remember, we reported on this as well, that FedEx did not even have his back during his time of crisis. Maybe a day or 2 later, they tried to put me back on that route. I was like, I couldn't do it because I started feeling overwhelmed with it. Almost like a panic or anxiety attack. That's when it started hitting me. But I do think about it on a daily basis. Let me say this, let me make it very clear. If a white woman would have been driving their FedEx truck and got shot at by two black men, do you think they would have put the white woman back on the same route 2 days later? At all, ever, again? No, they would have not expected anyone to ever put her back on that same route. Now, for the black male, well, it's another story. You almost get murdered, get shot at. 2 days later, you should have shaken that off by now. I mean, don't you come from the streets? You should be used to this. Just imagine the commentary against him for someone to suggest that corporate or a FedEx manager would send you back to the same street that you damn near got killed on. And it gets deeper. The only time, according to Mr. Gibson, the only time they started taking me serious about it, once we started getting all types of media coverage and doing interviews with news stations. Originally, they put me back on the same route the following day. They offered me 2 weeks off without pay, which I felt was unfair because I didn't ask to be put in that situation. It's just something that kind of happened. And I feel they should definitely support me, and we feel you too. Now, here's what we know about the father-son duo, all right? There was pressure from the family on the authorities. And as soon as these holidays are over, this is according to Miss Sherry, the mother. As soon as these holidays are over, we're back out there protesting again. We are going to protest again for this conviction. I don't have to remind those who watch Indisputable that it should not be this hard to obtain justice for a really clear-cut criminal act. Should not be difficult. No one should have to protest. No family in the midst of crisis should have to hold a press conference and a rally in order to get some semblance of justice in their local community. Please don't forget, these individuals pay taxes to those same prosecutors, to those same cops, to those same judges. We are literally funding our own oppression. They are taking their tax dollars without taking them seriously. All right, dear brother, thoughts on this?
I think there's a invested desire to keep us racially illiterate. The ability to read and write racial situations in our country are very lacking. And I think that when we talk about the concept of racial literacy, we understand how it leads to racial violence and how there's, again, an investment to make sure we're not educated on the ways in which racism politically, socially, economically impacts us. And you and I know that there's always through a language of dog whistles, a language of gaslighting, to say that it's not about you. It wasn't because you was black, Dr. Richey, it's because you look suspicious. Now it's a dime of possibility for you to be able to prove you crybaby victim that I'm trying to come at you about being black and not objectively about you being suspicious. So again, just like, playing with our minds, man, and making with more black death and black incarceration is, the impact.
And that's why narratives are important, because if you allow false narratives to stand, those narratives create biases. The bias does not only permeate in the culture of the justice system, it permeates in the culture of society, which includes the jury, which includes individuals that are going to judge cases in the future, et cetera. So we have to fight against false narratives, especially as they relate to historically marginalized communities. All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said the secret part out loud. She has said that if she organized the terrorist attack on January 6th, along with Steve Bannon, not only would it have been done effectively, they would have won according to her, they would have been armed. Here's the video.
Then January 6th happens, and next thing you know, I organized the whole thing along with Steve Bannon here. And I want to tell you something, if Steve Bannon and I had organized that, we would have won. Not to mention, it would have been armed.
A few dynamics worthy of examination. Number one, that is a sitting United States Congressperson who has now given significant advocacy for terrorism against the United States. Remember, the contextualization is important. If the people who stormed the Capitol would have had the last name Muhammad, this would have been called a terrorist attack. If it would have been organizers connected, even loosely connected to Black Lives Matter, this would have been called a terrorist attack. But they have now contextualized it differently for the sake of narrative, for the sake of reforming, reshaping history. These individuals, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, they were just patriots who got a little rowdy and nothing more. But who would joke about something that was so violent, not only against police, but also against the Constitution, democracy, rule of law? Who would do that? Who would do it? Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene did it. She's not your only problem. Steve Bannon is not your only problem. You also have that crowd who broke out in applause when she said if they organized it, it would have been done right. Now, she's not running for Congress. She's not running for president. She's running to be the head of the terrorist organization that stormed that United States Capitol. She wants them to make her their new champion. That's what she's advocating for. Please understand what you just saw. All right, let me give you background and I will give you an update about Donald Trump. According to a legal expert, he's committed 3 crimes that are 100% verifiable. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene entertained Republicans in Manhattan. This was Saturday night with a range of one-liners trolling the political left on hot button topics. I want to tell you something. If Steve Bannon and I had organized that, who would have won? Not to mention, we would have been armed, she said of her role at the January 6th, 2021 attack. Now remember, her campaign is going to say, you know, the Congresswoman was just joking. Congresswoman, do you joke about 9/11? Do you joke about any other acts of terrorism other than ones that are carried out by white Americans? Oh, okay. Those are the only ones you joke about. Gotcha. All right. The controversial Congresswoman was one of several high-profile conservative firebrands, including Donald Trump Jr. And many others who progressives were not there, obviously. And this was hosted by the New York Republican Club. Now, the New York Republican Club is an interesting group. At one point, they used to be much more moderate, obviously. They are not anymore. They have transformed over the years. Rudy Giuliani was there. Steve Bannon was there. Listen, all the has-beens were in one place. Every single one of them. There's more. According to an attorney, his name is Philip Rotner. We're talking about Trump and his conviction coming up, his charge and conviction. Newly appointed special counsel Jack Smith is taking over the Department of Justice investigation. I told you all about Jack Smith a while ago. I said once they appointed Jack Smith, that's a guarantee this is going to indictment. You do not appoint this cat because of his specialty without knowing somebody's getting indicted, all right? So they appoint Jack Smith. He's taking over the investigation of Donald Trump that has already made a strong case, obviously, for an indictment. So let me give you the 3 dynamics that he can be convicted under according to the legal expert. Number 1 is 18 USC 793E, makes it a crime punishable by fine and or imprisonment for up to 10 years, to have unauthorized possession of any document relating to the national defense or to willfully retain such a document and fail to deliver it to the officer of the United States who is entitled to receive it. Now, when this thing first happened, I said that's the number 1 charge in my opinion, right there. That's the number 1 charge. Now, this legal expert has been able to look at a few other federal statutes that absolutely apply. So let's go to the second dynamic, USC 1519, which is compelling. Subjects any person who knowingly conceals a document with the intent to impede, obstruct, or influence an investigation to a fine or imprisonment for up to 20 years. So while 1519 has the stiffer penalty as it relates to jail time, all right, it's actually 793, which basically creates a dynamic that would not allow Trump to run again. Now there's another one, 18 USC 2071, provides that any person who willfully and unlawfully conceals any document deposited in any public office shall be fined and or imprisoned for up to 3 years, all right, 3 years. It also provides that any person who commits those acts shall be what? Disqualified from holding any office under the United States. That's right in the code section. So you have one that absolutely disqualifies you. The second conviction, the other one, would likely disqualify you based on interpretation. And the third one probably would not disqualify him because you can have a felony conviction and run for political office. You can run for president. We've had it done before. And one guy actually got about 1 million damn votes while in prison. Okay, dear brother, how do you read the tea leaves here? What are your thoughts?
White privilege is very wonderful. You know, in our community, when we say we have to do 10 times the amount to do X, Y, and Z, we acknowledge these type of situations. We see there's a gross application of the law. We recognize that when, you know, people in our community do nonviolent victimless crimes, we're seen as being the worst thing possible. You can't even run a school. You can't even clean a desk if you have a felony in my community. But to think about, you know, just the way in which those laws are actually worded, I find it a little tasteless to see that an individual could have these documents and still run the highest office in our country. That's just me, though.
Yeah, listen, it's a lot of us. And obviously there's something terribly wrong with the way we do our laws and the way we do our Constitution, all right? Okay, yeah. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay. All right, we have a lot of comments. Let me say something about an issue that was brought to my attention. There's at least one con artist, maybe more, utilizing the name of Indisputable and utilizing my personal name. This is a coward, okay? I have called this individual out. The things that I said to this person online, I cannot repeat on the show. But I wanna make sure you are aware of what's happening. So several audience members have reached out to share information about this imposter, okay? And this is first seen on YouTube comments, all right? Acting as if the person is me or connected to the show, and they are not. And then if you go down the rabbit hole, there's a WhatsApp that will say, hey, you won something. Once again, this is not from us, this is not from me. Let me set the record straight, because this impersonation has to stop. Indisputable is a verified YouTube channel. You would know that it's a real channel communicating with you if you see the check mark next to our channel name on YouTube. If you do not see that, it is not us. Number two, we're not running a giveaway promotion via WhatsApp or Telegram. Please do not give anyone your personal information on WhatsApp or Telegram to claim a prize, because it did not come from us. Number three, we're told that people who are the grand prize winner need to pay money to claim the prize. This is not a promotion administered by Indisputable. That is an imposter. And if anyone says that you need to pay money to claim your prize, they are likely an imposter too. All right, so we're responding on our end to protect every single one of you. In the meantime, please email us at support@tyt.com if you come across any imposters, any messages that seem suspicious. Again, the Indisputable channel, the YouTube channel is verified, all right? So please look for that check mark. Okay, let me read some of these amazing comments. Got a lot of them, but I'm kind of pressed for time. Lynn says, other than the usual privilege, what connections with higher ups did this former bartender have? He's a bartender. He knew all the cops in the local community, all of them, all right? But that's a good point. Eileen, lesbian dance dragon, theory dragon, excuse me. Can you only imagine what, can only imagine had Alien Omar said it? That's right. Yeah, talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. There you go, good point. Thank you so much, Early Bird 42. 4 days of jail for assault, 4 days of jail for assault. Black eye lasts longer than that. He should have been locked up at least the length of the time it takes for a victim to heal. All right, also, thank you so much to Tyler Hackner, member for 3 months. I always love your consistent truth telling and take down of Karens. We appreciate that, thank you so much. Gabby Mathis, thank you, member for 6 months. 4 days in jail, I get more for driving on a suspended license. That's right, absolutely correct. We have a story about that coming up. Gail Hefner, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Anthony McClendon, member for 3 months. How you doing, Doc? Your comment about Republicans moving the moral goalpost to avoid holding each other accountable was tied for TYT line of the week. Well, I appreciate that. All right, thank you so much. I got something for everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You wanna call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free, back off!
I'm gonna tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
No, this was not a team building exercise, but if you decide to attack a restaurant worker and the restaurant workers respond in order to defend themselves, I don't see why you would not expect that to happen, Karen. So let me also mention, I do not condone violence. Now, this was an interesting saga. I got some other photos, all right, some screenshots I would like to highlight and analyze. Let's put the first pair up. Now, what you will see is one individual attempting to be a peacemaker, or at least stop the person from being attacked by those there after she attacked them. She continues, however, to try and attack the workers even more. The man in the white shirt would eventually break up the fight and hold her back when she wanted an immediate rematch. Ma'am, you just assaulted them by throwing something at them. That is assault, that's criminal assault. They retaliate in defense of your aggressive action. Somebody steps in, let's call him a good Samaritan. He's trying to save your ass, madam. And in the process of doing that, you try to fight other people in the restaurant. Meanwhile, despite his co-workers jumping on this Karen, this employee was kind enough to grab her phone and give it back to her saying, here you go, sweetie, look at that, all right? Better than me, I would not have been handing her a damn thing. But that 911 call, all right? Okay, I know a lot of people have commented about this, and I gotta say, not the majority of comments, but some comments, dear brother, are saying that, well, they should not have responded that way. Okay, you can talk about that in a higher conscious dynamic. But listen, if you throw something at me, I have an instinct to respond to that. What are your thoughts, brother?
I think that it shows that a lot of times people have more energy for how people respond to racism and or violence than the actual violence itself. And I think that when it comes to standards and morals and ethics, we recognize that black people, and many times we're supposed to be passive, docile beings that just turn the other cheek and just take our whoopings how it go. You feel me? The last thing I say is sound like Karen at Popeye's got some of that good old mess around and find out. And it's unfortunate for her. But I think that, you feel me, in terms of the optics that we've seen, it's important to recognize that different black people responded differently to it. Because I know sometimes we can be indoctrinated to always already see black people as being threats or being violent or being X, Y, and Z. Like you said, they responded in defense.
All right.
That's my case, Your Honor.
There you go. Well said. Comedian Mark Curry. Now, when I tell you this brother is one of the most, I guess, authentic and doesn't bother people. Like, he's not that guy. But he gets racially profiled, according to him. He gets racially profiled at a hotel in Atlanta. Let me take you to the video. Here it is.
All right, so the problem is I'm in a hotel lobby and this man wants to see, I don't know what's
if you're a guest.
Huh?
I'm just asking if you're a guest.
And I'm asking, are you a guest?
And he said, no, I'm an employee.
Well, let me see some ID. You got your backup. How you doing, backup? Does he speak? Hello, backup. He's asking me for I can't be in the hotel lobby. This hotel lobby, you cannot be in this hotel lobby if you're black and you're in Colorado Springs. So if you're black and you're in Colorado Springs, you can't be in the lobby. Look, they got a black man in Colorado Springs, so they send this dude. Look, yeah, oh yeah, the one he talks now. He talks. Yeah. So a black man can't be. Yeah, I'm trying to pull a race car, boy. So.
Oh, I got more video. You were looking at actor, comedian Mark Curry hanging with Mr. Cooper, okay? Hanging with Mr. Cooper got racially profiled. Here's another video.
Let's see if they follow me. Let's go. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You gonna stop me from going to the bathroom?
tough with that.
Yeah,
Real
but
tough.
don't touch
Real
me.
tough. Get that out of my face.
Yeah, you better not touch
Get
me.
it out of my face.
Well, don't follow me.
Get it out of my face.
What you gonna do? You're not gonna do nothing. Hey, I'm having a problem with this dude here. I'm being threatened, so you don't have to show me anything.
Room number of any sort? Could I have a last name? They just want to know if you're.
For why? For what reason?
Just for safety.
So just safety. So safety, you just follow the only brother in here, and you gonna ask me for safety?
He's just asking if you're
what about
yes or no?
Well, let's ask all these people if they guess first, and then I'll show you. Got aggressive to put 2 feet. Now knock this. Then that'd be a different story. Then they'd be, oh my God, boy, racism in America. I'm about to check out this hotel tonight.
Yeah, that happened to a black male. I know he's a celebrity. That's actually not the point. His celebrity creates interest, more interest than normal. Okay. But even if he's not a celebrity, this is wrong. Because keep in mind, I'm sure he was not the first black male in particular that this happened to. They had a routine. He's the only black male in the hotel, and they step up to him with backup already to say, are you a guest here? Well, damn. You know he's a guest. He's the only brother that checked in. All right, let's highlight it. According to Mr. Curry, who's an honorable person, the incident occurred at the Mining Exchange at Wyndham Grand Hotel and Spa. This was at Colorado Springs, Colorado. Curry also tried to use the restroom in the lobby. He was physically blocked by those same individuals from entering the restroom in the lobby at a hotel he paid for with his own money. Their Yelp page, if you would like to check out their services to help their business grow. The Yelp page is right there, all right? The Mining Exchange, a Wyndham Grand Hotel. Curry's former co-star, Holly Robinson Pete, showed her support for Mr. Curry. Holly is a remarkable woman. Sending love to my co-star and friend, Mark Curry. Just finding out about this awful profiling harassment he was subjected to in Colorado Springs. I hope the hotel has apologized to him at least. Unacceptable. Have a call in, Mark, to get an update. This is us in June. All right, Holly, you're still looking great. Statement from the hotel manager. What does the hotel manager say? This is a quote. We are committed to providing a safe and inclusive space for all guests and employees. We deeply regret this incident and have reached out to Mr. Curry to offer not only our sincere apologies, but a full refund for his stay and an invitation to return at no cost anytime in the future. Okay, all right, so that's the remedy. The statement continued to say, as a respected community partner, we are also using this opportunity to revisit training with our staff, helping to ensure all interactions are reflective of our company values. The Mining Exchange plays a special role in the Colorado Springs community, and we will continue working each and every day to ensure that our hotel remains a space that is open and welcoming to all. Well, damn, you got to work toward that. You all are a major brand, a major company. You all got to work toward making sure that the company is actually okay with diversity. They need to be trained to not profile black men in the hotel. You do not have a training issue, sir. You have a cultural issue. And until you decide to replace individuals, your reform would mean absolutely nothing. It won't do a damn thing. Because as soon as they feel as if nobody is paying attention anymore, it would default back to the culture you refused to actually address. All right, dear brother, thoughts on this?
Man, we got to do more than diversity and inclusion trainings. And second thing I'll say is that we see that racism is so permanent in our country that a lot of times it's able to go through your celebrity status and or whatever your economic status is. So we see that regardless of him being Mr. Cooper, regardless of him having this great talent, we still see that his body was met with a particular policing, a particular vigilante. The third thing I'll say is that we see how even when white people don't have a badge, there's something about black bodies bodies that make them go into this vigilante type space. You feel me? For some reason now you want to police my body. You ain't never been to no academy. And I think that all these stories Dr. Rashad touched on, to me, is getting into the two tails of America.
That's right.
How a lot of individuals would be like, man, y'all crying and whining. Why are you talking about this that happened a long time ago? Every story that has been touched on today has been from this year. And or it's been an update of what's happened previous year and what's going on now from 2018 case of Ms. Lee. But it's very important to recognize when we start talking about how we are oppressed and or how we would like to have more access, more opportunity, more resources, don't try to, I feel like, tone police us, in a way that's insulting our intelligence and or acting like what's going on in the world is not going on.
That's right. Mr. Kerr was never treated like a customer. And I appreciate what he did by not showing them a damn thing, because as I've said before, that whole idea where a white person can walk up to any person of color and demand they show some level of paperwork, well, that comes from slave era mentality. Show me your freedom papers is what it means. Show me your freedom papers so I can verify that you're supposed to be here. He showed them nothing because he's already free. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay. All right, welcome back. We're pressed for time. I'm gonna read just a couple of comments, as many as I can, all right? So Craig Souffle says, pop goes your eyes, Karen. Damn, I didn't think of that. I see what you did there. C. Michael Henson, thank you, C. Michael. Love that whipping for Popeyes. And also, A. Martin, member for 3 months. Thank you for being a member for 3 months. Doc, thanks for not stopping. I'm proud to be a member. You're simply gorgeous. I take that, A. Martin, I appreciate that, all right? You're gorgeous as well. I can tell by your spirit. Okay. We're bringing you another update to an exclusive that we covered right here on Indisputable. Black male decides to hit record on his cell phone because he has been accused of stealing. According to him, he hit record after the woman utilized the N-word. She then utilizes the N-word again and he says, I'm recording you, right? She then proceeds to tell him, well, that's against the law here. He goes home. After she threatens to have him arrested, basically. He goes home, he gets a visit from police. The police take his cell phone. According to the black male, they erase all of his information and his Google information as well, Google Cloud or wherever the information was stored. Then he contacts the media. We report on it. What happens after the producers contact the police station? They send cops to his home. They're just knocking on his door. It's caught by the video. We got all the evidence right here. They leave. He then calls the police station. He says, why did you all come to my home? They say, we got a warrant out for your arrest. He turns himself in the next day. We got the video for that as well. They ended up charging him with multiple felonies. And then after he went to the police precinct, after he contacted the media, they then sent him a ticket in the mail claiming that his license is suspended, contrary to the proof he provided to Indisputable. Let me highlight this story. He's a custodian at West Junior High School. This is in Pennsylvania. Galvin Dudley. Mr. Dudley was arrested on December 8th for recording a conversation with another employee at the school he worked at. After he complained, a white colleague called him the N-word. Mr. Dudley was then fired. Dudley says when he told her he had just recorded the colleague saying the N-word, she threatened to have him arrested for wiretapping. Let me take you to the first video of when the cops are leaving his house after taking his cell phone, according to Mr. Dudley. Here it is.
Oh, we're gonna have to come in. Who's here with you?
Me and my children.
Just you and your children. How many kids do you have? 3. 3. Okay, they sleeping?
2 of them sleeping, 1 at 4.
Well, we don't want to wake them up. Who is your wife or fiance? I don't know her relationship.
My wife. She's not here.
Okay, is she working? Or?
She's working.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna have to come in just to make sure nobody else is here other than your kids. But we'll sit down and talk.
According to Mr. Dudley, that was his cell phone. They took his cell phone. Now remember, what did the officer say? We need to come inside to make sure nobody's here but your children. What? So you searched the home? You got to have a warrant for that, okay? They did not. Now, after we called the school and the police station, 4 officers arrived at his home, knocked on his door, and did not say anything. Let me take you to that video. The video shows they never said, police, open up, or police, we have a warrant for your arrest. None of that took place in the video. Mr. Dudley then called the police station, said, why were you all at my house today? They said, oh, well, you have a warrant for your arrest. You have to come to the station. He comes to the station, he turns himself in. And then the saga thickens. I'm gonna give you some background to this as a reminder. A student lost their wallet, okay? This is where it starts. A student lost a wallet. Dudley says school administrators asked him to come to their office for computer training. He gets to the office, remember, he's the janitor. He says he was excited to learn a new skill. He gets there, they then accuse him of taking the wallet. On December 6th, Mr. Dudley filed a written complaint at the school about Detective Miller, okay? That's your complaint. The complaint reads in part, on November 23rd, 2022, 2 detectives came to my house with a search warrant to search my home and vehicles. They took my phone instead of investigating the woman who used racial slurs and harassed me with disrespect and humiliated me. They violated my First Amendment right, okay? All right, now, he's doing the right thing. He's making the complaint. He's telling them, listen, I stole nothing. He even told the lady, hey, I'm recording you. Now remember, how is she aware of the recording? Because he said, I'm recording you. He said that. And obviously, she said the N-word, because if she had not, who gives a damn about the recording? And who all has a connection to this woman to where they're willing to do this to one individual, arrest him, go to his door, create an additional warrant, and now there's something else. Dudley received a ticket in the mail, let's put it up. He then later gets a ticket in the mail from the police department for driving on a suspended license. This was on December 7th, a day after he filed his complaint with the department. Dudley showed Indisputable a valid New York driver's license. Dudley told Indisputable his wife is worried the police will continue to harass his family. Pocono Mountain Regional Police Detective Lucas Bray responded to Dudley's complaint this morning. He told Mr. Dudley his department's investigation, charges, search warrant, and traffic citation were all lawful. No, well, we're going to look into it, Mr. Dudley. We are going to launch an internal investigation. That would clear your officers if they did nothing wrong, detective. Dudley emailed a complaint 6 days after the initial school meeting on October 13th. Dudley's email tells administrators he alleges he was called the N-word on October 17th. Are they investigating the administrator who allegedly called him the N-word? We have no evidence of that. At a follow-up hearing with the school's attorney on October 24th, Dudley requested to play his recording of the incident. The attorney for the district, Michael Levin, denied his request. He told Dudley in an email, you will be permitted to provide your side of the story at the informal hearing. There's more. Levin also wrote to Dudley, you're not permitted to play for us, and we will not listen to the recording that you allegedly made. It is alleged that the recording you took was made in violation of the law. If that is true, then any use is not permitted. Is anybody concerned about the woman wrongfully terminating the brother and calling him the N-word? This person is around children. Does anybody give a damn about the actual, credible, ethical, and moral violation of this woman? Nope, not so far. Dudley says he was fired without explanation, and he then had to turn himself in to the police on December 8th. I have so much more. Dudley had a Samsung S11 phone. When he went to retrieve his documents and images from Google Drive, he says everything was wiped. Here's a photo of Gavin with his wife and 3 kids. Dudley's wife said the police could not initially share the charges with her because they were still waiting for the school district to add additional charges against Mr. Dudley. Need I remind everyone, you know one charge that's not on the docket, one charge he did not receive, theft. He stole no wallet. There's no charge of theft. Let's go to the wife. She said, and I quote, "My husband is not a thief because my husband is an honest person. I've known him for more than 13 years. He doesn't take things. After trying to fire him, they're trying to paint a picture of Gavin. We come from the inner city where we have to be a little rough to survive. When he speaks, it could come off as rough and intimidating. We can't change someone else's perception. I think they're trying to paint a picture of him as an angry black man. Can we be very clear? At this point, it will be a problem if he was not an angry black man. Look at what they're doing. This is justifiable anger at this point. Dr. Elizabeth Robinson, let's put the picture up. That is the superintendent of schools. And then you have the police chief, Chris Wagner. The police denied Dudley's allegations. A department press release states, investigators found no evidence of racist statements in Dudley's recordings. What? Okay. A forensic capture of a cellular device not only captures content on the device, but will also indicate any files that have been deleted. No files, videos, or other content has been deleted since the device was secured by police investigators. The device will also be made available to Mr. Dudley's defense team for their own forensic evaluation. Damn, all of this for a cell phone. Now, they revealed themselves, they don't know it. They revealed themselves. What did their comment say? Their own commentary said, hey, we listened to it. The woman who they said the N-word, she didn't say the N-word. That's what's important. Wait a minute, you all did all of this in order to make that kind of public proclamation. So this was not about the statute, this was about exonerating the allegation of one woman who allegedly said the N-word. Because that's the emphasis of your own statement about your misconduct alleged by Mr. Dudley. But instead of addressing your alleged misconduct at the police department, you decided to address the content of the recording. That's what you did, revealing that this was about exoneration rather than justice. You wanted to exonerate the alleged racist in the story. Dudley has not yet spoken to the public defender. He says he appeared in court without an attorney on December 8th. The school district, they have not responded to us at all. All right, we'll stay on top of this story. I have some other developments happening as well, but you see exactly what's happening here. Now, he is a microcosm of the macrocosm of this dynamic all across the country. Don't think this is only happening to Mr. Dudley, and they will do more if they can get away with it. He now has multiple felony charges. This man has multiple felony charges, but he stole no wallet. He committed no egregious act. He harmed no one. He committed violence to nobody. But this is what happened. All right, consciously, what are your thoughts here, brother?
Man, he got felony charges and they took his job. For me, from an international relations standpoint, a lot of American legal system is championed because of how everybody gets presumed innocent or proven guilty, because everybody gets the due process of law, and because the legal system in America is so great and so transparent. Our country has went and invaded other countries, but doing significantly less than what's happened to this gentleman right here. So for me, it is really thinking about the hypocrisy of democracy or the political paradox. And the last thing I'll say is that when you try to assert your humanity or your position in a particular way that piss folks off, they'll try to put you in your position.
Yeah.
Because how dare you try to, do something to me? How dare you try to record me? Who you gonna tell on me? Are you gonna tell on me? I'm gonna tell the folks you trying to tell on me and show you who really got power around here and show you what your position really is.
That's exactly what this is about, brother. You hit the nail on the head. This is about a black male who asserted his rights, who decided to stand up for himself. And there's a power structure that said, we're going to put this Negro in his place. That's what this is. We're going to continue to highlight and expose what's happening in his local community. All right, there's a cop, unbelievable but true. A cop gets arrested by another cop because the other cop had too much money in his pocket. Yeah, the other cop is black. Yes, you're correct. Let me give you the background. Put up the picture of the officer who got arrested. This is insane. In Detroit, Michigan, a white cop arrested a fellow black cop for carrying too much money in his wallet. In 2019, during a police training event, 39-year-old Detroit officer Christopher Williams was arrested by a fellow white officer for having a large amount of cash in his pocket. No crime had been committed, and it was perfectly reasonable why he had the money in his pocket. Williams, an 18-year veteran. Let me say that again. The man has been a cop nearly 20 damn years at the Detroit Police Department. Says while at the training session, he went to use the restroom. And it was there he also crossed paths with fellow Detroit officer Tom Jones. Williams says before using the bathroom stall, he readjusted the money in his pocket within the view of Jones. Okay, there's nothing problematic about it. He's around other police officers. He has a bunch of money. He doesn't have any fear where he's at. They're doing a training. It's nothing but cops. He pulls out his money. He readjusts it. Maybe he counts it. I don't know, puts it back in his pocket. He does it in front of a police officer because he's a cop and he's doing nothing illegal. And he feels safe that a cop is not going to rob him. So he readjusts his money in front of another human being. What happens next? Both Williams and Jones proceeded to finish the training. So they leave the bathroom. They finish the police training. But then when the police training was over, the white officer, Tom, goes to arrest his fellow 20-year veteran friend for having too much money in his pocket. I'm going somewhere with this because some people have missed the whole reason why this happened. He put my hand behind my back, the officer says, pushed me into a fence, cuffed me, grabbed my pocket, and told me, you're not supposed to have this large sum of money on you. Wait. So you're the police too, Mr. Williams. You're telling me that another cop harassed you, who was armed, put your life in danger, and effected an illegal arrest against you. There's more. Williams got arrested. He was released from custody only after his girlfriend showed Jones the bank receipt for the money. That's according to the lawsuit. Williams' attorney told Todd Russell Perkins believes Jones' actions against Williams were racially motivated. You don't say. What is this really about? What charge did he receive? Because there's no really statutory charge for having too much money. There's a process to where suspicion can be created because of problematic or suspicious transactions. However, that's not enough to effect an arrest. There's no investigation. So he decides to effect an arrest against a fellow police officer. The officer has a credible reason, but he should not have to give one. Having money is not illegal. But what was the white cop really saying? He was really saying, you should not have this money. This much money does not belong to a man like you. Now, I know that we're colleagues, and I get it. We've been working together for years. But you don't need money like this. You see, it was putting him in his place. That's what the white officer attempted to do. James E. White, the then point chief, seems to have excuses for Jones' actions and has since become the Detroit police chief. White said, to say there is a racial component, I've got someone in the bathroom with a very large sum of money on him. And inquiries being made as to where did you get the money? Well, that's not unreasonable to me. That's what he said. That's what the man said. Sir, He was arrested. That's not somebody asking a question, Chief. That's somebody effecting an illegal arrest. There's more. 3 years later, when White became chief, he changed his story. He says, now he says, and I quote, "It is never appropriate for any member of the Detroit Police Department to detain or handcuff anyone simply for having money in their possession. The investigation will now shift to a disciplinary review. Wearing the Detroit police badge is a privilege, not a right. And I am determining the appropriate disciplinary action now that the criminal process is complete. In one of my first actions as chief, I appointed an executive level member who oversees our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts to continue to create awareness and to provide training to all members of our agency." Sir, you're doing the political thing, because if you were a true leader, you would have handled this 3 years ago differently. But you did not. You're handling it differently today because of the transaction required for your political position. You are no transformational leader at all. On December 5th, a jury actually found Tom Jones, the white officer, guilty of assault and battery because of the illegal arrest. Now that the criminal aspect of what happened is nearing a conclusion with Jones' sentencing forthcoming, Williams' civil lawsuit, which is expected to seek $5 million against Jones, is moving forward. And remember, Jones did this in his official capacity as an officer. You cannot get around that. He did this as an officer at a training camp. As for Jones, Jones did not say much after the jury's guilty verdict, other than agreeing to an in-person sentencing hearing set for February in front of Judge E. Bryant for the assault and battery charge, a misdemeanor in Michigan punishable by $500 or a prison term for no more than 93 days. He will get none of that. You guaranteed he won't get into that. So let's talk about it. First of all, he was not charged with violation of oath of office. He should have been charged with that because he decided to manipulate the facts when he presented the evidence based on his report. Another dynamic. Why in the hell is he not also arrested for or charged with, I don't know, maybe kidnapping, right? Unlawful detainment. There are so many charges that can go with this. Violation of oath obviously is one of them, but there are so many other charges that should connect to this, but they did not. They gave the man another pass. How do you get away with arresting a fellow officer just because he has money in his pocket? Imagine what they would do to black folk who have no power inside of their department or culture or industry of policing. That is the part that won't get investigated, and that's probably where the actual extreme injustices are located. All right, consciously thoughts here.
The thin blue line didn't hold up for the camaraderie of their colleague of 18 years, 18 almost 20 years. I know that when it comes to the politics of the black community and how we quote unquote don't have the snitching and this, that, and the other, I think we gloss over and ignore how a lot of those politics also are present within the policing and all that or whatever. In this instance, we see how regardless of the 18 years, regardless of all that black skin, something about that old melanin came through and made it where he thought it was rational to not only mistake him for a crime to be committed, but follow through and then double down. Like, hey, ain't no reason for you to have that much money on you because I know you. We only make this much. You shouldn't have that. To me, it sounds like the white police officer may have some financial literacy that he might can work on or mismanagement of money. That's why he felt like he shouldn't have his. But man, that's sad right there. The last thing I would say for all the law enforcement watching this video, or law enforcement can hear my voice in this right here, you have to really think about the details within this story and also think about how we talk about police in the black community and how you just treated a black police officer in one of the black cities in the country, Detroit.
Well said, dear brother. Listen, I enjoy you. I enjoy your programming and your commentary and your heart. For those who would like to follow you, check out your great work, tell them where to go.
Yeah, theconsciously.com is my website. The Consciously on all social media platforms. Hey, listen, if you get on the social media platforms and you don't see a Consciously over there, go holler at me on one of the other platforms I'm on and make sure I go create a profile. Education is elevation. That's my motto. And the Consciously on all social media platforms.
Very well said. Thank you, dear brother. Look to have you back very soon. All right.
Definitely.
Bullpen is next. Stick and stay. All right, welcome back. We got a few comments, got a lot of them. I can only read a few due to time. Thank you for joining. All right, Sina Hogaboom says, Dr. R, can you call Ben Crump for this man? Yes, and I've reached out to Ben Crump and a few other attorneys. The process of conversation, update, etc. is happening. All right, and thank you for that. Lynn, a new one, carrying too much cash in your pocket while black. There you go. What did he put on the charging document? Like, what is he in here for? He's a black man with too much money. Oh, okay, I got you. Doesn't make sense. Thank you so much, Gilbert Wilcox. Aliens, Vasquez too. This book covers so much of what you talk about. All right, is it raver and gender inequality, etc. All right, thank you so much for that. Never heard of that book, but thank you. Kim Robertson, who has been a member for 3 months, thank you so much. Rashad, thanks for being you. I appreciate your passion, tenacity, and fire. One day I will be fighting to make changes to policy with as much passion as you. Well, make that day today, all right? Thank you so much for supporting us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, we have Brian Tyler Cohen, my brother from another mother. This guy is an expression of my values on a regular basis. Very proud to have him on the show. Brian, good day, sir. Welcome.
Dr. Richey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you being here. We want to talk about two dynamics in particular. One, what in the hell are Republicans going to do with Donald Trump? And two, what in the hell are Democrats going to do with Joe Biden, to be frank with you? So let's start with the breakdown of Donald Trump. Obviously, very problematic now. Virtually every candidate he endorsed in the state of Georgia lost their race, all of them, with the exception of maybe one, and that was Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then his power obviously slipping nationally, and the rise of DeSantis has created another dynamic in the multiverse of Republican politics. So what are your thoughts about it? What do you think will happen?
Here's my main thought, my overarching thought, and I've said this before, but my thought is that until someone kills Donald Trump, he isn't gonna die. And I think people, myself included, because I definitely have done the same thing, but people will grant Ron DeSantis the heir apparency in the Republican Party and just kind of decide among us, among the pundit class, that Ron DeSantis is the next guy. But we have to remember that Ron DeSantis has never thrown a single punch at Donald Trump. And in fact, most people haven't thrown much of a punch at Donald Trump at all. And so I think that something we have to remember is that while we might be wish casting here on our side because of the dangers posed by someone like Donald Trump, at the end of the day, they still have to beat him in a Republican primary if they want to beat him in that primary, if they want to replace him. And so, that's something that we haven't seen happen. And like I said, we can say on our end that we think that Ron DeSantis is going to be the next guy, but he hasn't taken the support away from Donald Trump among those Republican primary voters. And until he can do that, until we see any indication that that's actually being done, I don't exactly have any reason to believe that it's going to be anybody other than Donald Trump. Until I have a reason to believe that it's not going to be him, I have to continue thinking that it is.
Let me give some nuance and caveat to that. I agree with your sentiment, and you could be wrong, I could be wrong, you could be right.
Totally, yeah.
I could be, et cetera. All right. So here's my reading of the tea leaves. I agree that in order to defeat Trump, you have to defeat Trump. And when you said kill Trump, you meant politically. I got to say that because somebody was, oh, he's talking about killing. No, that's not what the man is saying. The man is saying politically. So politically, DeSantis has not engaged in direct political combat with Donald Trump. But I want to say something that is interesting because I never thought it would happen this way. Look at the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp was endorsed by Donald Trump in the primary. That guaranteed his victory. He wins. Donald Trump gets upset at the governor of Georgia because the governor of Georgia wants to appoint somebody to the US Senate because of a vacancy that Trump did not want. Trump wanted his own person. So it created a conflict. They then get into a public conflict later. Kemp was able to not only win his Republican primary, he was able to win his governorship back in re-election, contrary to the endorsement of Donald Trump, who took the endorsement back, ended up endorsing political enemies of him, and Trump did not win. This was all done, sir, without Kemp directly engaging in combat. Same thing for Raffensperger, Secretary of State, engaged in a public fight with Trump. ended up winning the Republican primary, even though Trump endorsed somebody else. And he ended up winning the general election in a state that was considered to be Trump country. The only reason I highlight that is because we do have some of that happening regionally throughout the country as well, but that happened in an entire state, and that's a strong state. And then this is the last point I'll make about Trump. In the Republican primary, the great thing in the Republican primary and Democratic primary is that it's a plurality of votes. So even if Trump performs well, that's fine. If others perform okay, he performs well and DeSantis performs well, now you have a problem because this is not an up and down 50% plus one scenario. This is simply plurality. And if you have other candidates running, it will split the Republican vote and he may have a real problem securing enough actual delegates to make the general. What do you see in my
I think of course you're right, and I think as we get closer toward this 2024 election cycle, we're going to see that play itself out. And of course, there's a ton of evidence that would suggest that Donald Trump is an albatross around Republicans' necks, like you mentioned at the top. I mean, we had every single gubernatorial and Secretary of State candidate running in a battleground state that was endorsed by Donald Trump or that spewed this election denial BS that lost. And if that's not a testament to his weakness within that party, I don't know what is. But at the same time, I think that what's going to be especially interesting is again like watching to see if that 30 to 40% of diehard Trump supporters, if they stick by him for the exact reasons that you said, when there's going to be a ton of people running in the Republican primary, just like they were in 2016, if he has the support of those people, and then you have, the Josh Hawleys and Ted Cruz's, Marco Rubio's, Tom Cotton's, whoever it is, Ron DeSantis's that ultimately do decide to run, if none of them can supersede his base of 30% of people, that 30-40% of people might be all he needs to win. Yeah. So again, because the Republican primary is done differently than the Democratic primary, and it's pretty much a winner take all system, if he can just skate by with the bare minimum that he needs to overcome all of those people, then that might be it. And so he might be shedding a ton of support in the Republican Party, and he might be a really non-viable candidate in the in the general election moving forward in 2024. But we're talking about two totally different things in terms of the primary and the general.
All right, I'm gonna do this. My producers are telling me we got 1 minute before the next show. I wanna get your thoughts about the Democratic primary. How do you see this happening for the next presidential cycle?
So look, I think at this point it would be really hard for me to say anything other than the fact that I do expect Joe Biden to run in 2024. I think that he's announced his support. We have a lot of prominent Democrats who've announced their support for him as a candidate, and there is a major advantage in the incumbency that I think a lot of people are going to be that I think is undeniable. I should say.
All right. We will talk about that next time you come on when we got more time.
Will do.
Glad to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, absolutely. Okay. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable. Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richey. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.